Mirrors and Dreams, Book 2 of the Unseen Scar series, written and narrated by C.R. Saxon. Chapter 21. What have I forgotten? Zephyr plopped back on his bed. Too bad he couldn't forget his aunt's command. Dealing with a recluse took more energy than it was worth. Who'd put in the effort of finding him just to beat him? Pushing those thoughts away, he turned his gaze to the stars beyond the window. Then he was staring at sapphire eyes. What's on your mind? Guess I fell asleep. Zephyr stood and bowed to the elf. What do you mean? You won't learn well if you're preoccupied. An ominous chill ran down the prince's spine. My aunt's given me a task. The thing you promptly forgot? Yeah. You're a lousy cousin. You think I don't know? Those biting words surprised Zephyr. Did I just say that? The little prince knew what he had. The elf turned sharp eyes on Zephyr, until he realized how ordinary the extraordinary is. How will you reclaim that wonder? Those extraordinary mundane parts that made you happy? What is she talking about? I don't understand. Shaking her head, the elf responded, There's a solution, but I doubt it'd be appreciated. I'd prefer to live, please. I can help you with your aunt's command. Another chill coursed through his spine. What? You already know. You've just locked it away from yourself. Locked it away? How do I reach it? Circling the prince, the elf studied him. Walking away melted the twilight beach and inky waves lapping against the gray sand, until they stood in nothingness. Where are we? Where we always were. Sapphire eyes shone with an inner fire. Truth is cruel, but blinders hinder us. A golden finger tapped his temple and he shook his head. I don't understand. It's disturbing, looking deep and drawing up what you want to forget. Want to forget? Those memories ended abruptly because you locked them away. Golden hands flew. I tried asking Ferdinan. And how did that go? Judging by the look on her face, the elf already knew. He wouldn't say anything, he only became upset. Understandable. Slender bare feet walked across nothing, increasing their distance. How is that understandable? You can access those forgotten things on your own. The elf smirked at his surprise. But can you handle it? I'll do what I must. She's manipulating me, but why? That's easy to say, but the box was never meant for you. Neither was it intended to hide in. Box? What does that mean? Sweeping an arm behind her, a path of soft soil formed. If you do this, you'll find you aren't the person you think you are. You won't be able to hide any more. I know who I am. Are you sure? Zephyr's hands moved defensively. I know who I am better than anyone else. The elf didn't bother hiding her smirk. Then follow the path. Find the locked door. She won't come with me? No, I'm asking too much already. Thank you. Head high, he followed the path. It grew sturdier until it was a solid road. But he found no door. Until he looked back. When? Dark wooden doors surrounded him, flush against each other. He couldn't swallow, couldn't breathe. I guess I'll try the first one? The handle turned, but he didn't open it. It wasn't locked, so this wasn't the right door. Going around the circle, he checked door after door multiple times. I don't understand. They're all open. Returning to the path. Huh? The circle of doors vanished. So he walked. Nothing. Ran. Still nothing. Faster. Find it. With each beat of his heart, he pressed his legs faster. What is this? Countless nightmares crowded the emptiness beyond his vision, but he kept going, until he collided with nothing. Pushing himself back to his feet, he approached more cautiously. The road ended at a wall of nothingness. Couldn't move past, couldn't see anything. Looking back didn't bring any doors into existence. Now what? Are you sure you want to meet me? Zephyr shivered at the sound of his own voice. Who are you? Me? I'm the one who does what needs to be done. What kind of things? Ringing filled his ears and his heart beat erratically, yet he felt connected to the one speaking. Things that hurt you, things that make you see what you truly are. A dark figure stepped out from the nothingness. Chains bound him. His face was heavily shrouded, but everything about the figure matched Zephyr. Dread and desire to run away hit. That isn't me. How will you know unless you open the door? The chained figure answered Zephyr's unspoken words. There's no door. Even through the shroud, Zephyr sensed a cocky grin. Bound hands reached forward, offering a key. It was old, rusted, dented. One of the teeth were chipped. A ball of acid burst in his chest. I don't want to know. The prince stepped back. You don't have to. I'll do my job as long as you want. But the figure continued offering the key. Zephyr's lungs constricted. I know who I am. I know who I am. Reaching out, Zephyr took the key. I know who I am. The figure vanished. In his place was a carved oak door. If not for what was carved, it would have been beautiful. But Onyx's eyes avoided the images, focusing on the lock instead. Inserting the key, shadow and mist blew through him. An impossible weight pulled Zephyr down. Ice burned his skin and fire ravaged his insides. Clutching at his chest, my heart's pounding too hard, I'm going to die. The door swung inward, inviting him, mocking him, warning him. Have I shrunk? Zephyr tried looking around, but his body wouldn't listen. All he could see was a little boy lying in bed. His lips moved, but the voice, it was too young to be his. Are you all right? Would you like some water? Little Ferdinan reached shakily for the glass. It's okay. Everyone gets sick. After helping his cousin sit up, Zephyr took the cup of tea on the nightstand and offered it. That's when he noticed the little sack of plants, the ones Ferdinan collected for his tea. It was open and its contents partly spilled, as if Ferdinan didn't have the energy to put everything back properly after making a glass. What kind of tea does he like? Studying the plants closely, ice filled Zephyr's chest. Don't drink that! A startled face turned to the little prince. The tea was made from these? Zephyr pointed to the sack, hoping he was wrong. Ferdinan shook and looked down. It's poison. Not all the plants, but at least 3 of those were ones Rutork warned him about. An unexpected expression filled his little cousin's face. Not surprise or fear. When the prince reached for the glass, Ferdinan clutched it tighter. Those nearly colorless blue crystals were angry, disappointed. They searched for a solution to something, all the while refusing to give up the tea. Agia, she knows all about plants. She can fix this. Clutching the cup tighter, Ferdinan shook. What? His heart twisted. How was helping family any trouble? No, he always thinks like that. Zephyr rushed to the door. Agia will need to know what plants. Bringing them would be faster, and he didn't want to tell her the wrong ones by accident. Turning back, the ice in his chest grew so cold it burned. Stop! Why are you drinking that after I told you not to? His hands flew. Why would you do this? By the time Zephyr was wrestling the cup away, it was empty. Everything blurred with rage, fear, and adrenaline. Golden hands grabbed the sick child and shook him. I told you not to drink that. I told you it was poison. Why? Ferdinan lowered his head, but not before the prince saw tears. Shock held Zephyr. For a moment he thought he'd cry as well. Grabbing his cousin's wrists, he tried pulling Ferdinan out of bed. You need to throw that up. But his cousin didn't budge. Perfect still and calm settled around Ferdinan despite the little prince's bellowing. The young tinkerer turned his hand and grabbed Zephyr's wrist, stopping the commotion. Ferdinand's grip was strong. Too strong for a sick child. Blue crystals stared steadfastly. It took a while for Zephyr to soak in that no. When it hit, fire exploded, overpowering everything else. Lunging forward, he grabbed Ferdinand's shirt and shook. His cousin's head slammed repeatedly against the headboard. Why not? For the first time, Ferdinan presented the eyes that haunted Zephyr for over a decade. It didn't make any sense. Red filled his vision. Zephyr didn't realize he'd made a fist until blood ran from Ferdinand's nose. Grabbing the sick boy, he pulled his cousin away from the headboard and pinned the tinkerer against the bed. Another fist flew and another. He climbed atop Ferdinan for a better position. Why? Why would you do this? Small golden hands fought between trying to speak and beating his cousin. Eternity passed in a loop. Zephyr demanding Ferdinan to throw up the drink, Ferdinan refusing, Zephyr beating him. Fist after tiny fist hit with all the prince's might, until Rutork lifted him. Even then, Zephyr continued flailing. Hello? That was an unusual voice to hear in his lab. John turned to find Healer Herard standing nervously in his doorway. Calge? What's he doing here? Sorry, Mind if I come in? It took a moment for his brain to move, but John gestured the young man in and offered a seat before closing the locked door. I apologize. How can I help you? Seeing the door locked put the healer at ease. I know you're a thinker, but I need a simple device. Why not ask Ferdinan nearly slipped off John's tongue before remembering who he was talking to. That was the last thing the Cal should do. If it's simple enough, what do you need? Pulling a screen from his pocket, Herard showed him a crude drawing. Sorry, I'm not an artist, but I need this to be small enough for a young child, and this part needs to move smoothly without much thought. The young man pointed to a circle hovering over a washer. Okay, how? Frustration creased the healer's brow. Looking at his hand, Herard held out 2 fingers, while his thumb awkwardly drew a circle over them. I need it to move like this, and it needs to be gentle on damaged hands. For you? That was a simple enough guess, but what would such a device be used for? It didn't seem like it'd work for therapy. Am I asking too much? Gerard's eyes darted to the door and back. No. John considered what would be needed. It was a simple design, but he didn't think it'd work well. Does it need to look like this? No. As long as it makes that motion, what it looks like doesn't matter. A smile twitched on John's lips, something he could do. Taking the screen, he sat down and drew a new design next to the first, starting from the outside and moving in. It was still simple, pretty much a ball bearing in a box, but it'd get the smooth motion and could also adjust for various sized hands, and it was something the machines they had could cut or print, saving time and energy. Will this work? Gerard's cheeks pinkened. The original crude drawing next to the blueprints John easily scribbled out were night and day. Even though John wasn't a tinkerer, that didn't mean he wasn't good at improving designs. I think it will. I'm amazed. I can program it into the printer tonight and have it ready for you tomorrow. A chuckle left John. Though, the bearing. I'll need to fight the second-year scientists for the glass machine. For a moment Gerard stood there confused. Then he burst out laughing. I'm sorry, I missed the joke for a moment. Is everything okay? John was starting to wonder if he and his island brothers were the only ones capable of talking openly. No, but it's getting there. Again the Couch looked nervously at the door. Nodding, John moved to his work screen and started creating the schematics. Oya's playing with him. You don't have to worry. Put on a mask. Ferdinan kept his eyes on the beakers, while pointing to a cabinet on the far side of the room. You weren't supposed to see me. Crossing her arms, Oya gave a little huff. Then don't climb in a window I'm facing. Grabbing the catalyst, he motioned to the cabinet again, then adjusted the blue mask and goggles on his face. I'm serious. Goggles too. Oya gave a strange look to no one beside her. Bare feet danced across the room. Mask and goggles secure, she skipped over. It was silly, almost juvenile, how fascinated she was watching the solution bubble. The two sat enjoying the chemical reaction. Oya giggled while Ferdinan looked on wearily. It's not going to work, but I love watching you struggle. Ignoring the voice and a deep desire to cry, Ferdinan cleaned up. Being sneaky around Oya was pointless. I'm not up for playing today. Could I offer you a story instead? You've given me so many. I'd rather hear you play. Her signature Cheshire grin grew larger than he'd ever seen before. My violin. This felt unbreachably daunting. No, not today. Exotic green eyes danced. A story it is, one detailing how I'll defeat the earth and steal the sun. A small twitch of a smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. Sounds like quite the adventure.